Have you ever scrolled past one of those perfectly lit, ultra-aesthetic viral money trends and thought, wait, does this actually work? You know the ones. They rack up millions of views and the comments are totally split. Half the people are calling the creator a literal financial genius, while the other half are screaming that it's just a useless gimmick. But here's the thing, almost nobody stops to pull the real data to see who's actually right. Well, let's dive into it today. I'm Zach, and welcome to This Explainer from Zak Wealth Files. Today we're stripping away the ring lights and the hype. We're going to look at the actual numbers, savings rates, regret statistics, and real behavioral finance research to give you an honest verdict on what actually builds long-term wealth.
We've got a lot to cover, so we're going to put the 4 biggest viral money trends under the microscope right now. We're looking at cash stuffing, loud budgeting, no buy years, and buy now, pay later, or BNPL. Some of these, they're genuinely useful frameworks you can start using this week. But let me tell you, at least one of them is quietly costing people real money, even though it feels completely harmless in the moment.
So, the big question we need to answer is simply, which of these methods genuinely works? We aren't interested in what looks the best on a screen, right? We want to know what actually moves the needle on your long-term net worth. Our whole mission today is to objectively test every single one of these trends.
If you aren't familiar with this one, cash stuffing basically means withdrawing your budget in physical cash and dividing it up into labeled paper envelopes for different categories, groceries, gas, entertainment, whatever. Once an envelope is empty, boom, your spending in that category hard stops until your next paycheck. It's incredibly satisfying to watch, and it honestly turns the boring chore of budgeting into this tactile, almost ritualistic habit. And the secret sauce here, it taps into a well-documented behavioral finance concept called the pain of paying. Handing over physical cash registers in your brain as a much more real, tangible loss than just tapping a piece of plastic or your phone. And the survey data is wild. Researchers looked at people using this method and found they saved close to 36% of their take-home pay. Compare that to roughly 26% for general savers. Guys, that's a massive 10% gap. And the kicker here, the cash stuffers were often earning less than the broader group they were compared against. The numbers absolutely prove that this psychological mechanism, that pain of paying, is real and incredibly effective at stopping overspending.
But how does this translate into a modern wealth building strategy? Because there's a very real downside that those aesthetic videos conveniently leave out. Money sitting in a paper envelope on your kitchen counter earns exactly 0% interest. In recent rate environments, that's a massive missed opportunity for your money to compound. Plus, keeping large amounts of cash at home is just a genuine security risk. So here's your actionable takeaway for this one. The psychology is brilliant, but the vehicle is totally flawed. You don't need literal paper envelopes. You can capture the exact same psychological friction by setting up labeled digital savings buckets or sub-accounts. A lot of banking apps let you do this in about 5 minutes. You get the behavioral benefit of a hard boundary, but your money stays secure and it's actually earning interest in a high-yield account.
This trend actually started as a bit of a joke, responding to that quiet luxury aesthetic, but it very quickly morphed into a highly respected strategy. At its core, loud budgeting just removes the need to invent fake excuses when you want to skip an expensive event or pass on a pricey dinner. It's simply being openly vocal about your financial boundaries. Instead of vaguely saying you're busy or tired, you just look your friends in the eye and say, hey, that's not in my budget right now. And the psychology behind this is rock solid. Social pressure is a massive, well-documented driver of overspending. When you stop hiding your financial boundaries, you instantly reduce the friction required to stick to them. Plus, publicly committing to a goal, actually saying it out loud to other people, triggers this accountability mechanism in your brain that makes you way more likely to follow through.
But let's add a little bit of realistic nuance here. As financial commentators point out, loud budgeting is significantly easier to pull off if you have a predictable, stable income. If you've got an irregular income, say you're a freelancer or you work on commission, confidently stating what is or isn't in your budget is inherently a lot tougher. So the verdict: loud budgeting is a fantastic, low-risk communication tool totally grounded in real psychology. But remember, it is just a communication tool. It has to be paired with an actual underlying budget if you want to build wealth. You can't just be loud, you have to be structured.
The no-buy year is part of this broader underconsumption trend we're seeing. It basically involves committing to a defined period, usually a full 365 days, where you avoid any non-essential purchases completely. Some experts see this as a cultural pivot away from that pandemic-era revenge spending and into a new era of revenge saving. But man, this brilliantly illustrates a fundamental rule of human behavior change. Yes, a defined, time-bound restriction is great for interrupting bad habits, but a full year? That is a terribly long time to sustain a hard restriction. The data clearly shows that extreme long-term restriction creates a huge risk of rebound spending. It's exactly like crash dieting, right? Eventually, your willpower snaps and you just binge. So the verdict here is that you really don't need a grueling no-buy year to get the benefits. A shorter reset, like a no-spend week or maybe a no-spend month, is vastly more effective and sustainable. It acts like a quick speed bump for your wallet. It breaks up mindless habitual spending without triggering that massive rebound risk.
Frankly, this is the trend that deserves the most scrutiny out of everything we're looking at today. On the surface, it feels incredibly harmless. It's not marketed as traditional high-interest credit card debt. It's just a convenient little payment plan letting you split your purchase into 4 easy installments. No big deal, right? But the actual research reveals a staggering generational gap in how we approach spending. The majority of older consumers report planning their purchases well in advance. Younger consumers, a much smaller share plan ahead. And buy now, pay later services perfectly target this dynamic. They specifically circumvent the natural, healthy pause that normally happens right before you buy something.
So here is the part most people get wrong. Buy now, pay later acts as a friction eraser. Sure, splitting a payment into 4 chunks doesn't change the total amount you owe, but it absolutely changes how your brain perceives the size of the commitment in that specific moment. You see a $40 payment at checkout instead of a $160 hit to your checking account. It literally tricks your brain into seeing a smaller number, completely bypassing that critical, wait, do I actually need this reflex? Because of this, a notable share of BNPL users report experiencing high rates of regret once the full cost actually becomes clear over time. Plus, stacking multiple mini obligations across different due dates creates a very real risk of missed payments and late fees. The verdict? Look, it's not inherently evil, and if used deliberately for a genuinely planned purchase, it's fine. But structurally, it is designed to encourage impulse spending.
If we step back and look at these 4 trends together, we can pull back the curtain and see a unified underlying psychological pattern that separates the good trends from the bad ones. And that pattern is all about spending friction. Spending friction means making a transaction feel more real, making it highly visible, and requiring deliberate thought before the money actually leaves your account. The good trends, cash stuffing, loud budgeting, short resets, they all intentionally add healthy friction to your life. Buy now, pay later does the exact opposite. It aggressively erases friction right at the moment of decision.
So let's turn this into a practical 4-step framework you can use this very week to audit any new financial trend you see online. Step 1. Ask yourself, does this trend add friction? If it makes spending more visible and deliberate, it's probably going to help you build wealth. Step 2. Does it reduce friction? If it makes spending feel automatic, smaller, or easier, treat it with extreme skepticism. Step 3. Capture the mechanism, but upgrade the format. Remember, you don't need physical paper envelopes to get the benefit of cash stuffing, just use digital subaccounts instead. And finally, Step 4. Beware of anything structurally designed to make a big financial decision feel smaller in the moment. That is your #1 red flag to watch out for.
Quick, honest caveat before we wrap up today. Individual results with any budgeting method depend heavily on your personal circumstances, your income stability, and your natural spending habits. The data we reviewed today reflects general survey research, not a guarantee for your specific life. This explainer is just general education, not personalized financial advice. If you need a fully structured system for your unique situation, sitting down with a licensed advisor is going to do a lot more for you than any single viral trend ever could.
But here's the one memorable summary I really want you to walk away with today. Long-term clarity and structure will always beat short-term hype. The trends that actually build wealth increase your visibility and slow you down. The trends that drain your wealth reduce friction and speed you up. If you enjoyed getting an honest, numbers-driven verdict instead of just another hype recap, well, that's exactly what we do here. So I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 4 trends have you actually tried, and did it genuinely work for you? Drop your experience in the comments below. And if you want to keep building your wealth with clear, data-driven frameworks, make sure to subscribe to Zak Wealth Files. I'll see you in the next explainer.